Hi, this is Tamra with Sacred Activations, and this is a Power Weekend. This is session 1 of 1, and we're recording it and doing it in person. So we're going to start asking and answering questions to get started here. Okay, so who has questions? Now that I'm filming, everybody's quiet.
There was for me a...
Do you mind if I turn the camera on you while you ask your question?
No, fine.
Okay.
There was for me last night a combination of some intense energy downloads during the night that I could almost immediately feel, even after I left here, driving the car. Just an incredible sense of peace.
Nice.
So I was trying to reconcile the difference between getting blasted on the way and feeling just absolutely open and calm. And
nice.
Feeling like things had resolved somehow.
Yeah.
You know, they just, in the process of this happening, it just, so many things just let go and were totally at peace with themselves, in harmony.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's 26 more today.
Yeah. No, not today. Tomorrow. Today, this weekend. Yeah, we can't. Yeah. In the master's training, I think we did like 55 activations, and by the end, on the third day, people couldn't even talk. So, yeah. Anybody else have a question?
Okay, I have a question.
Do you mind if I turn the camera on you?
Oh, yeah. No.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it does make
It just,
okay.
You look darling.
I didn't ask that.
So when you're asking us, when we're going into the activation and you ask us to think of all the things that we're judging or, whatever's coming up. So I know there's all the things that I know, but then there's the things that I don't know that are messing me up, that aren't in my consciousness yet.
Right.
So is it working on those other things too?
Absolutely. It's clearing out your genetic beliefs.
Okay.
It's clearing you out of the collective consciousness of belief systems that you decided to believe that you didn't even know. Okay. So past lives, everything. It clears it all out.
Yeah, and I'm very, very sensitive. So like the collective consciousness really has a big impact on me. So this is really going to be so wonderful because it won't be such a pull for me.
Yeah.
To be able to just observe it. So much better. Yeah.
It took me about a year to understand the work of the collective consciousness that I was doing. So, like I said, they did baby steps with me. Mm-hmm. So, and within the first 3 months, I was getting activations working in the collective consciousness, and then they just started explaining it to me more and more. So I'll explain that to you a little bit here. How they explained it to me was in the collective consciousness, say the collective consciousness of fear and suffering is the size of remember the old big watermelons before they started shrinking them down?
Yeah.
Okay, so say the collective consciousness was fruit, and the fear and the suffering collective consciousness is like this. The abundance and unconditional love collective consciousness is like this, like a blueberry. So when we're doing this work and we're disconnecting people from the collective consciousness of fear and suffering, it's shrinking. Yeah. And then the blueberry, we're plugging you into the Christ consciousness, the fifth dimensional grid system, which is all about peace, love, and abundance for all. Because if you've read the Bible at all, which I haven't, really talks about the Father ever gives you everything. So it's really just our belief systems and how we're connected in is what we receive. Because the Father says yes to everything. Yes. Everything. And it's your emotions. And a lot of us are plugged into these collective consciousness that we're not even aware of. We don't even know we're plugged into this stuff. Yeah. But you're plugged into it, so you don't even know that you're plugged into it. So you could be working on these belief systems for years, and it's still running in the back of your mind.
I'm always like, I know is what I don't know.
Right.
That's really messing me up.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I, access that?
Well, that's what this does. It clears it out of the collective consciousness, out of your past life, out of your genetics. out of your core beliefs. So it disconnects it from everything. And there's things I've been working on for years and years and years, and then I do an activation on it, and it's just like disappears, completely disappears.
You know, what I like about the process is that it still comes into your consciousness, so that you can still experience it and know that it was there. And so I like that, because it's not the New Age bypass where, no, I just feel good and everything's great.
Yeah.
And you get to feel, oh my gosh, this is what was holding me back, and then experience that, so then you can recognize it with other people.
Yeah, yeah.
That embodiment piece is really important for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I try not to make this woo-woo. I mean, because I'm not a woo-woo person.
Yeah, because it's not woo-woo.
No.
You know, that's quite frankly what kept me away the first time, because I was like, oh God, I'm not going to do this New Age bypass thing. And then when I experienced it, I went, oh. And Kathy kept on going, Alicia, really, you have to. And I'm like, I don't have time. I'm promoting your church. So
Right.
it was, yeah, it was beautiful to experience it and then go, oh, I get it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you have to experience it to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
So my question before was about, is it going to stay? Like, I felt a shift, and you said you might talk more about.
Yeah, absolutely, it stays, because it's not like you went to this weekend thing where it pumps you up and you're all excited and you leave, and then a couple weeks later all your belief systems come back up and you're the way you were. I don't know how many times I've spent thousands of dollars for those experiences. When you get this work, it clears it. It's gone. It doesn't come back. Now, there might be different layers that you need to work on that will start showing up. You do the activations again, then that layer is gone. Like yesterday, I had a whole new layer clear. And it was around love and stuff, and it was perfect. You know, so yeah, it clears it. So I'm all excited about that next level I'm going to. Yeah. Yes.
I was experiencing quite a bit in my body last night, and other things too. You know, I was sort of having tastes of myself, sort of almost physical, but related to things past and heaven.
Right.
But then today, I'm in quite a bit of pain today.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'm telling myself, I mean, I was in pain before I came last night, and given things that were going on with me, I think, I don't know about other people, but I tend to do things pre-event.
Right. Yeah. It starts showing up, you know, even 3 days before you do it. Because your body knows it gets to release it now. So it starts coming up. And also so you can get in contact to release it.
Well, yeah, so as long as it gets released, you know, I mean, this conflict, this is not a new conflict, but, you know, then the pain, you know, it's this whole thing of all the other things that I'm so grateful for it to happen.
Right.
And then the pain.
Right.
And I can't seem to resolve this conflict.
Well, what I would like you to do today while we're doing the activations is focus on that pain. Think about it. Because, you know, people say do affirmations and don't think about it. No. When we're doing these activations, I want you to get into the emotions of the pain and really focus on it so that way we can really clear it out. Because that's what it does. Yeah. So,
and
okay.
A lot of times people think pain means don't move, just sit, you know, and it's like, no, sometimes the pain means move so it can move out.
Right.
Like
right.
It,
well, and
it's
yeah, and it's showing up so that you can deal with it.
So you can do something with it. You know,
yeah.
Touch it, feel it, be with it, ask it questions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Last night in the soulmate activation that we did, I had a huge release in my body. I mean, just the tightness, the stiffness in my body, some the aches and pains. I mean, everything just went like this. It was gone.
Nice.
And I'm wondering, maybe I'm going into analysis, but might there have been some trauma or issue around soulmate issues that got released?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So obviously subconscious or unconscious to me, but
yeah. It could be past life. It could be genetic beliefs around it. It could even be collective consciousness about it. You know, because a lot of these things that clear, you're not even aware you believed them.
No, absolutely. I get
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's nice because you don't have to know what it is to release it or do belief work to get it released. You just, you know, you're just doing the activation and brings it up and releases it. I mean, once in a while, if there's something you need to know, you'll have to do belief work around it. Like I'll share something with you. This summer, I got the family constellations activation, and I also got inner child activation. And, you know, like I said, they bring this stuff to me. I don't make this stuff up. You know, I don't go, oh, I'll do this. They bring it to me. And so this summer, they said inner child reconnection. And I said, okay. So I do it, and I don't think anything of it. A couple weeks later, I heard myself saying to myself, you know, God, I don't think the inner child ever integrated. How come? And a day later, I start talking to this girl on Facebook, and she's all, I knew you in a past life. So you had a lot more confidence in that life than you have now. And I went, fuck you. And then I went, who are you? You know, let's talk. So I started talking to her, and we're really good friends now. She was the one I've talked about that, you know, moved to California, got a divorce, and had her first orgasm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to her, and so I said, let's talk. And then I'm living on this river, beautiful house in Oregon. I can't sleep. I'm tired. I'm exhausted the whole time I'm there. And she's all, Tamra, what happened around water? And I went, oh, that's a past life. I said, I've cleared all the energy out of that past life. There's nothing left in it. Because in this past life, I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but I had weights tied around my legs, and I was thrown in this pond, and I drowned. And I remember being in the water and just going, I remember the release. I was so freaking thankful I was dead. I remember that. And I said, oh, there's nothing in that. I was drowned in a past life. She goes, oh, did anybody ever retrieve your body? Were you ever found? And I went, oh, no. And she goes, oh my God, we got to retrieve your body. So I went, okay. So I went into that past life, and I pulled myself out of the water and brought myself up to the Creator, into the seventh plane. And then I felt that integration of that activation finish. So that was one of those things that I had to see, to understand, to fully integrate it. So most of the activations, like I said last night, I needed belief work around 2 activations so far over the last 2 years. And the rest of it just happens, like with the family constellations. All of a sudden, I don't hate my step family anymore. As a matter of fact, my stepbrother just befriended me on Facebook the other day. I mean, there's no major love there. I don't really care to have a relationship with them, but I don't get an anger or rage when I talk about them or think about them, because I realize it's just their story, and they're obviously playing something out for me to get in touch with, because that's, we are all co-creators of our lives, and if anybody does anything to you, it's for your experience, and it's for your learning. So it's important to realize that and forgive people, and understand that they were helping you with things. So so that's what happens with the activations. I mean, it just, you'll just all of a sudden realize that you're totally different in that area and go, wow. Wow, that's cool. God, I don't hate these people. That's so cool,
Do you know what's getting activated? I mean, you're calling them activations.
Right.
What's getting activated?
Well, then some of them are deactivations, because it's pulling you out of the collective consciousness. It's releasing genetic past life stuff, so it's clearing out all those energies from it. But the activations, they named them. They gave me the name Sacred Activations. I went on GoDaddy, and I couldn't believe the name was available, and it was, so I got it. But the activation parts are really about the abundance, the love, the tree of life, the Lord Metatron cube. I mean, it activates all of your sacred geometry.
No, I take that as a given. Okay?
Right.
I'm asking maybe a different question I can't verbalize. But what energy source or what is coming through that activates what within our being?
Okay. This is a seventh plane modality, so everything comes from the creator of all that is, from the highest source. I do work with a lot of masters also, but a lot of the work I do on the seventh plane, and then the masters also come in and assist me. So, but it's the highest source energy.
So they're sending energy that clears on the one hand or stimulates on the other.
Right, or both.
It's alignment, is the best way to explain it. Where
Yeah.
You go up to that area, pull in that energy for everyone, and then your being is aligned to that higher.
So it's creating a kind of attunement within you.
Yeah.
I mean, a natural attunement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's as whatever you can handle at the time.
Yeah.
That's why she says you should do them 3 times.
Yeah.
Because you may have more clearing to do on each subject. That more than can be taken with grace and ease.
Yeah, and it's not up to me how much of this energy you receive.
Right.
It's in between you and source energy.
Uh-huh.
So, and your higher self knows what you can do. So some people, it'll knock out for a couple days. I've had people that were in bed with flu-like symptoms. She kept coming back. She's now one of my master practitioners. So, I mean, it was kind of freaking me out. So, will this make you sick? I'm all, yeah, I think so, it might. Because Vincent, who was my webmaster for a while, I was staying with him and his girlfriend in London, and I just had the 3 activations when we were at their house. And I did the 3 activations on him and his girlfriend. He wouldn't talk to me for like 6 months because he got really sick. And he's like, I don't know what that energy is, but I don't want anything to do with it. And I said, well, how was your girlfriend? Oh, she was fine. Oh, okay. So then next thing I know, he's my webmaster and hosting me on my webinars because he finally got what it was, you know.
You know, people always think getting sick is bad, and it's not. It's a clearing.
Yeah.
And you need that time to rest, to clear.
Yeah.
Right.
The hint that I've gotten the last few days contemplating what is meant by when she says our sacred geometry is activated. That our sacred geometry are literally our higher subtle bodies.
Right.
So the higher subtle energetic bodies that are capable of supporting these higher vibrations of being in this realm. And what the activations are simply resonant energy. So as they resonate our bodies, kind of just gets the junk off, allows them to resonate at their highest levels in our body.
Right.
In our bodies.
Right.
It allows that. So it's really a language of resonance. Okay. And what's being activated is literally the bodies that allow us to be that wisdom, rather than intellectually understand it, but just radiate it.
Because it's in our bodies at a cellular level. It's just we have a bunch of gunk on top of it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that needs to get, shaken up.
Yeah.
Stripping paint.
Yeah.
Taking off wallpaper.
Yeah.
Stripping paint.
Yeah. Or the layers of the onion. Yeah.
No, actually, my experience of it has been it's an inflow. I'm experiencing an inflow of of a higher, I don't know how, just of a lovely energy.
Right.
So it's sort of shifted a little bit of what was there.
Good. Yeah, because what it does is it allows you to accept that energy and that love that, you're blocking. So what it does is it clears all that stuff up so that you can really line up with that energy that we really are. Because we really are this.
I know, and I totally believe that our bodies can heal themselves. Our bodies do not have to age. They're constantly rejuvenating. Why are we aging?
It's a collective consciousness belief.
It is.
It's a collective conscious belief. There's an activation for it.
That's so awesome, because I believe that, and I know it's there.
We're not doing it this weekend, though. We can't. There's too many activations you need first.
Okay.
You've got to do the alchemy of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimension first, and you have to do the Newton's Law disconnect.
That's
Because you got to clear out the belief systems
You can't do it.
of the third dimension, disconnect from the fourth dimension, and really connect to the fifth dimension and clear out all the beliefs that you can't do that. And then the Newton's law disconnect, and then you can do it. Because otherwise you won't be able to hold the energy. It's just a waste of money. You know, it would be to buy it. It would just be a waste of money. You really need to do those other ones before you really believe and totally get and understand that you can rejuvenate. I look younger than I did 2 years ago.
And every time I clear energy out, I get younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when I'm stuck in an energy field, it's like I start to look really old.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I got that bug that was going around and all this energy was coming out of my body, and then I saw a friend of mine, she's like, wow, you look younger. You know, it's like, and once you release that, you're connecting more with your true self.
Right.
And then, it's just like, wow, you start to glow and shine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it, I mean, yeah, because that's what it does. Because we really shouldn't be aging. I mean, you know, humans years ago lived 300 years.
Yeah.
You know, Mother Mary had Jesus when she was 90 years old. You know, and there's no reason why we can't be living that long. I'm not saying that we want to have babies at 90, but, you know.
Yeah, but we could if our bodies are okay. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You won't be like a typical 90-year-old body at this point in time.
I think I've got some work to do around parenthood because raising my kids were a little traumatic. Still, yeah.
I don't want to tell stories out of school, but last night at the little reception for Ted's birthday, he and I ended up talking with a woman about her son. And I observed, and I don't know if you did, but I literally observed this woman transform as we were talking to her, and she looked years and years younger.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Younger at the end of the conversation than she did at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching this happen, and it's like a reverse movie in fast motion. I mean, just,
yeah.
She's
whoa.
done a lot of wonderful work. Andrea.
Yeah.
Is that her name? Is that who we were talking to?
And,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
do you want to tell this?
Yeah, I worked with her last time I was here in October, and her son is a walk-in. Her son came in right after her son was born. Another body came in, or another spirit, and they were both living in the same body. And the walk-in was much more powerful than the original child, so we sent the original child to the light. And because the walk-in was more powerful, and really, and after I did that, it kind of freaked me out. It's like, God, did I do the right thing? And God told me, Tamra, you couldn't have done this unless it was the right thing. And it was agreement in between the two souls for this to happen. So the one experienced the birth, which is what he was supposed to experience, but then he stayed in the body with the other one. And I talked to her last night, and she told me her son says that other being is completely gone, and he doesn't talk to him anymore. So we're going to do some more work on his, he's still not really in his body, so we're going to be working on that so he can really be focused and be in his body. And he picks up a lot of stuff. I was working with another lady that was a walk-in. She walked in her 20s into this other body, and it was quite an interesting session with her. And she came in, and then so she felt that she had to be a portal for all these other walk-ins. So, and then also she was embodying her mother that had died, and she was taking on her mother's lung cancer. You know, so we cleared that out because she had this guilt of being a walk-in. But again, it's an agreement in between two souls. Nothing's going to happen to a soul or a body without its agreement. So, so that was a big learning experience for me. It's actually in my book. Those couple, I have like 3 stories of walk-ins that I got to experience, and it's pretty cool. But it's been quite a learning experience for me.
The man that I was just married to, Jay, that I was talking to you about, he said he was the second soul in the first body, and the body was born. He calls him his brother. The body was born August 18th, 1941, and on December 7th, Jay volunteered, Pearl Harbor. He volunteered to come down and arrived on the 8th with his brother in this body. And then basically was a passenger for 40, 42 years.
Yeah.
And then the brother left, and he said, okay, I got all these experiences of nothing. You know, the family totally ignoring him, no emotions, nothing. Did all of the electrical engineering and operations research and got into the Fortune 500 companies and was doing 5-year plans of programming. And he hated it, so he'd leave, be hired again, he'd leave, be hired again. And at 42, he said, okay, now the brother leaves, I get to run the body. And then his whole life, his family didn't know who he was. It's an interesting book that will be out later this year.
Yeah.
He was a bodhisattva.
Yeah, I had it.
They called him a bodhisattva, and he didn't know what that was, so he went home to look it up.
We knew what it was.
And
Yeah.
He didn't know, when he was first sold. And then Kathy was telling him what he did, and he said, oh well, whatever.
Yeah. I had an experience years ago when I first started doing healing work. I mean, I heard about walk-ins, and to me it was kind of a trip. I had this friend. She was older than me. She's like my mother's age. But she's going through this divorce. There was, a couple $1 million at stake, and he was, of course, trying to take everything. And she was, like, freaking out over it. And she ended up having a nervous breakdown. And when she did, she had a walk-in come in because, obviously, she couldn't leave the planet. She needed to be here. So I went, and this lady was very clean, artistic, didn't smoke. I go to visit her. She's dressing like a man. She's smoking cigarettes. Her house is a mess, and she hadn't done any art. And I was like, this isn't Judy. And then I invited her to this party. I had this football party. And I invited her to this party, and she shows up. My mom, that's extremely Christian, is going, who is that? That's not Judy. And then I'm telling Judy, I was selling sailboats and yachts at the time, and I had this amazing boss. I just loved him. He was so sweet. And I told Judy, I said, I have this, my boss, I want to set you up with my boss. She goes, I don't know what I would say to another man. And then a couple months later, I went and saw her, and it was Judy again. So she had gone through what she needed to go through, or this man helped her do it, this walk-in. And then when she was in a stable place where she could take over her life again, she was back. And he was gone. He left.
And then that's what they call multi-personality.
Well, they can, yeah, but it's really a lot of different beings living in the body. And people say you should integrate them. No. You had a question?
Well, I've had this experience.
Oh, have you? Would you like to share it?
Well, a woman wanted to be here last night who couldn't get on because the website said it was full, who did what's called a soul exchange with me. I've had a very high being come in.
Do you mind? I'm going to... Thank you.
I had a very high being come in to me in 1990 without me knowing it, not even discovering it until 11 years later. And when I discovered it, I was asked, well, what about your life changed when this happened? And I had no recollection. I mean, there were no blaring trumpets and angels coming down, but my work just launched into a whole higher level of what it had been.
Right.
So I'd been living with that for about 11 years. And I connected, my sister had connected with this woman and told me about it. So I called her up, and she knew nothing about me, nothing except my name and my birthday. And her opening sentence was, well, about that half-hour soul that you're carrying. What? She said, it's time for it to take over. It's been operating within your, she called it proximate energy field for all this time. But it's time for it to be the soul in your body. And the other one, the birth soul, to be in the proximate energy field. So I want to do a soul exchange. I said, on the phone? She said, yes. I said, well, okay. So I'm sitting there. How will I know? You know, she said, well, when you start to feel it, just hang up. I'll tell you, I sat there for 40 minutes just like this. I could barely hit the off button on the phone. It came on so strong. But she said prior to that, but you're going to have an even more powerful being come in by the end of the year. And this was just after Labor Day. And I thought, well, I'm doing this, and I'm going to Peru, and I'm going out to the desert with a shaman, and da-da-da-da-da, okay. Well, this third being came in. So, to my knowledge, I have at least 3 beings working with me, I think compatibly. And she said, the third being is way more powerful than the second one. The one that had originally come
Which
in.
you had to get ready for. So it was like getting you ready for that.
Maybe that's what it was, because I said, how could it be? Because I knew a lot about its history, okay, through other things. And honest to God, the third being came in when I was out in the desert before the end of the year. And not only they, but a whole troop of beings seemed to be around me and with me absolutely constantly. And I've sort of lost track. Kathy knows about this. It's in my book. But I've sort of lost track of what's the soul. Because there are so many, seriously, there are so many energies working so directly with me that to identify one as a soul or the soul or what a soul is, as opposed to a being, I don't know. I mean, and not that it matters. I used to analyze this stuff to death, but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Those are the goosebumps.
Calling. Goosebumps calling.
I don't know if it's my son. He's at the airport. I think I need to answer it. I'm going to just take a 1-second break.
See Bill. Jay that I got speaking to, he was sitting in the kitchen, over in the family room area. And all of a sudden he went, and just stayed there for an hour and a half. I just had another download, another master just joined me. And he could hardly talk for the first half hour, but he could not even move. And my graphic designer, who I'm one of the greatest graphic designers, well, he made the light box packaging, one of the greatest ones in the area. He and I did this all the time and all the time and all the time. And one time I came down, his voice was different, it was softer, it was full of love, and I sat down on the stairs. I said, I don't know who that was, but that wasn't filled in his name. And Jay says, you're right, it wasn't. It was a walk-in. So that's how it's done.
I had an experience in the desert.
For her second year, what you? Well, my redness started detaching last month in the internet. I started getting lightning flashes in my eye and I have black spots. And I don't really want to go to the ER. I'm just trying to do it. But if one of the baby really want to help me on my left eye, like, that'd be so awesome. I mean, like, I just thought I'd put that out there. My body told me to lie back, so like the weight of my what you assume that was holding the retina onto the back of my eye. I'm sorry, because we're taking a break. I said some muscle. This is a good one. Sure, why not? Which one is it? What's this one? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and then I can get the other one.
Pay attention. intention.
Well, I see this, I felt like someone sticking in the moment, I think that was, it's starting to tear. And then last night, I lay here, just wanted to touch me. I wanted to touch me. If you'd like to join me in the tone, the first tone that I do, then I'll change tones.